Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Delaney and for today's video we are going to be ranking the eyeshadow palettes that I've tried in 2021. Now, if I forgot any, I apologize. But that probably means they were lower on the list because they were forgettable. I have a bunch of different eyeshadow palettes here today that I did try in 2021. Some of them are brand new releases from 2021 and some are older palettes that I received or bought to try in 2021. So if you're interested in seeing my ranking of eyeshadow palettes that I tried in 2021, then keep on watching. I don't know why 15 seems to be the sweet spot number for me, but I actually have 15 palettes that I tried in 2021. And that's what I'm going to be ranking for you today. I have everything from drugstore to high-end, so let's get into it. First of all, I've had my makeup on all day long, so if it's not at its normal caliber, I apologize. But I went with something a little bit more natural glam today because it was Father's Day and I wanted to celebrate with my family, so I wasn't really focused on doing a look. So we're gonna start with number 15. We have e.l.f. This one is not my favorite. I'm just gonna say that. I was able to get a pretty look from it, but it's just not my favorite. Now, granted, it's the cheapest palette in this whole ranking, so that kind of, take that as you will. This is a $4 eyeshadow palette. Now for $4, this is a nice palette. I mean, you can still get a good look from it, but the quality of the shadows sadly is just not as good. Now I do have other bite-sized palettes and they're a little bit better than this one in quality, but this one was just not my favorite quality wise. So the shades are actually really nice. They're on the pastel kind of side, kind of pastel mint. You get 2 mattes and 2 shimmers, and in the pan they look absolutely incredible, and actually on the fingers they look fine, but when you're swatching these out they're very lackluster and there's a lot of fallout. If you can see, it's these 2 shades right here. You can barely see that green, and then here's the lighter green. It's just, they almost look identical and there's a lot of flaking going on, and that's just not my particular formula that I like. It's just messy to work with. The formulas are very dry. The mattes are very dry. They're hard to build, and it's not my favorite. So I'm sorry, but e.l.f. Mint Melt collection, this is the Mint to Be. I really didn't want to have to do this. This next one, number 14, I'm so sorry. I do not like to talk negatively about indie brands. I really, really, really don't. I love the idea of this palette, but execution and actually doing looks with it, I just ended up ranking it below others. I am so sorry to say. I think this is number 14. And also this was a collaboration, and I don't want to speak negatively about that at all because I actually love the concept of this palette. I really do. I did a whole video reviewing this. I will link it up in the cards for you. I did a workplace slay with this palette and I actually did get looks I liked. But if I'm ranking this against all the other palettes that I've tried, this is not the one that I'm reaching for very often. Yes, partially because of the color scheme, which looks like this. It's actually very beautiful. I love it, but it's not an everyday palette, so I don't get a ton of use out of this. I could kind of look past that if I enjoyed the formula a little bit more. Now, I did state in the video that I reviewed this that the shimmers were not my favorite. They were on the dry side. They did give a pretty look, but I wished they had more glitter and they just were not as impactful as I'd hoped. The mattes actually do perform really well. They're very pigmented, very smooth. I had no really issue with the mattes. It's just the shimmers, but really shimmers make or break a palette for me. I can take a lackluster matte shadow, put it in the crease, and then put a pop-in shimmer shade on top, and you're not even gonna notice the mattes. You're just gonna be looking at the glitter and the shine and that. So that is why this is number 14. I'm so sorry about this. I love the concept of this, the name, the color choices, the names of the shades themselves. The shimmer formula is not up to par with what I prefer. So yeah, I'm really sad about that one. And it took months and months and months and months and months to get to me. And I know it was a pre-order, but that kind of put a sour taste in my mouth. I know maybe it shouldn't, but I'm just being honest here. So I'm sorry, Shroud Cosmetics. I would love to try something else from the brand. I really would. And congratulations again to Butte Bean for the collaboration. I am not knocking that in any way. As a YouTuber, I feel like it would be a dream come true to collaborate with a brand. And I, again, do not want to make anyone think that I am saying anything negative about the collaboration. I just did not like the formula as much for my makeup preferences. Number 13. I think I'm gonna have to go with the Chipotle palette. Concept-wise, I'm in love. I love Chipotle. I love everything about Chipotle. I eat it all the time. The color story is very Chipotle. Very, very much on brand. Now, I don't use this all the time. I love the quality. This quality compared to the bite-sized palettes is just a million times better. I would highly recommend going for one of these kind of palettes from e.l.f. over the bite-sized ones, just personally, because I don't particularly love the bite-sized formula, but this one's actually, the mattes are super blendable, the shimmers look beautiful. So quality-wise, this is so much better, but color story-wise, not something I reach for every day. Like, I love the pop of this like pinky purplish shade. I like the mattes, the two neutral ones. Those are the ones I usually jump into. I love greens. I don't know why I don't jump into this more often, but I love the concept. And I'm really glad I have the palette, and it does work well. The quality is really good, but compared to the other ones I tried this year, it just doesn't come into play. Number 12. I am so sorry. It's not that I don't like this palette, okay? I'm just gonna get that out of the way right now. It's not that I don't like this palette. I do. My girl CC Clark, this is her brand, Hot Ombre Cosmetics. I really enjoy this palette, so it was just really hard to rank all of these. This one is the Smoking Glow palette from Hot Ombre Cosmetics. Here's what it looks like on the inside. I love that it's half neutral, half colorful. I actually prefer the colorful side, which I didn't think that would be how that works, but it just is. The shimmers are incredible. I love the shimmers, I really do. But the reason that it's lower than the other palettes that I'm about to talk about is because of the longevity of the shadows. I don't know if it's just the couple times that I used this. Maybe I just need to use this more often, but the longevity of the shadows is not as good as the rest of them that I'm going to be talking about. They look beautiful on the eyes. You can get a beautiful look, but they just don't last as long on your lids. And that is something that I look for because I wear this for a full 8-hour day at work, or even longer sometimes if I go out straight after that. The shimmers are gorgeous. This blue, come on. Oh my God. This pink, they are absolutely stunning. The shimmers make this palette. If it were just shimmers, I think this palette would rank a little higher. Mattes are very pigmented. It's not that they're bad, it's just they don't last on my lids as long as other palettes do. That's really the gist of it. I love my girl CC Clark. I love the lip kits from this brand, but this palette in particular is just, it's mid-tier in my list. And that doesn't mean it's bad. Again, it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just compared to the others, not as great. I actually do use these shades as blushes sometimes too, and they look beautiful, but the neutrals are the ones that I had the issues with, and I don't know if maybe I just got a bad batch, or I don't know. But this one was in the middle for me, pretty much. And again, I feel bad about ranking indie brands lower. I do, I don't know why, but CC, I love you, okay? Don't hate me. I do like the palette, okay? I do, but it's just, it's hard to compare them to the other palettes that I have because they're just really slamming, like really slamming. Next up is a shocker. This next one is not because I don't like the formula. It's because of the colors in here and the finishes of the shadows in here and how often I end up using those particular shades. So when I'm ranking a palette, I'm thinking how many shades out of the palette do I actually get use out of? How often do I actually reach for it? And do I like the formula a lot of both the mattes and the shimmers? So that's what I'm keeping in mind when I'm doing this. Number 11, I would still recommend this palette, but the Cranberry palette from Natasha Denona. Okay, let me talk. Just let me talk. I got this on sale, I believe, with BoxyCharm in one of the sales. So here's what the color scheme looks like. I love, 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 love the shimmers. I do. Each one of them is just absolutely stunning. I have some of them swatched. That this one right here, this orange and the pink are the shimmers in the palette. They are gorgeous. These mattes in particular are not shades that I reach for all the time, okay? This bright pinky red and this burgundy together, I would, if this was a light pink, I would be reaching into this palette so much more. But because it's this one, and it's a little bit more deep and rich in tone, I just don't reach into it as often. And I have this problem where I want to use one palette. I do not want to reach into multiple palettes, because if someone wants to recreate a look, it's gonna be a lot easier to do so with one palette. It's really hard when you're going back and forth and you're adding, oh, I'm adding a pressed pigment here, a single here, I'm adding a steel glitter here, I'm adding a, you know, everything on top, and then 2 palettes on top of that. That's just a lot to do and a lot to buy if you want to recreate a look. And that is the one reason why this one's ranked a little bit lower. As far as the tones in here, they're beautiful. The mattes work beautifully. The shimmers work beautifully. I love the shimmers. I love the shades of those, but I would pair them with other colors. The mattes are the only thing that are making me rank this a little lower. And that's that. Who would have thought that Natasha Denona would be further down on the list? I have so many Natasha Denona palettes, okay? She's not, you'll see. Just you'll see, okay? So number 10. Let's just talk about Nabla. This is the only palette I've tried from Nabla. I would love to try more from them because these are amazing. I really do enjoy this. But again, the matte shades are the downfall for me. They're just okay. They're not the best mattes that I've ever used. I had a little bit of a difficulty blending them out. They're not as easily blendable as some of the other formulas that I'm going to talk about coming up. But the shimmers in here are incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, these 2 silvers here, this like steel gray and this bright silver shimmer that are absolutely gorgeous and glittery. That's this formula. This bronzy tone here. Oh my god, like they're so pretty. That's that gold right there. The gold is a little less glittery than the silvers, but still absolutely stunning. And this bronzy dark brown is also one of the glittery formulas, but this kind of a matte or this kind of a shimmer I never reach for. So that's the problem. I don't usually go for dark shimmers. So that means that I'm only reaching into this palette for a very few select times. And most of the time it's going to be for this silver. And does that make this one of the best palettes I own? No, it does not. Because I love this shade. I love this shade. These 2 I'm okay about, and the mattes I'm okay about. So really, if I'm going to be ranking palettes, the amount of shades that I am in love with in this palette is not as many. Now, I will say there is a Cutie palette from Nabla that's berry toned. You best know I wanted to try to get that one. I really do. Because I think that those colors in there, I would reach for more often. If I reached for the colors more, and you would think that I would reach for this more often because it is a neutral palette, but the mattes just aren't for me. And I would only reach into it for the shimmer shades in this particular palette. Maybe others are different. I don't know. But this was a gorgeous palette, just in comparison to the others. It ranks a little lower. And now we have number 9. It is also from Miss Natasha Denona. Okay. Don't worry, I still have more coming up, okay? Just don't get mad. Don't get mad, okay? But this is the Natasha Denona Mini Love palette. So gorgeous. I really do like this palette. But as I've said before, it's about how often I reach into it and if I like all the shades in here. Well, let's talk about it. I love the matte formula from Natasha Denona. I've already said this. These shades I like more than the mattes in the cranberry palette, and that's why it's above. And I also really love the shimmers, but this shimmer and this shimmer are more metallic and not glittery. I like that for this light shade because I can use that as an inner corner highlight, but for this shade, I never reach into this shade, ever. It's just kind of there. It's just kind of lackluster compared to the rest. Like, look at this beautiful duochrome right here. And then you have this kind of flat, it is a metallic, but it's not as punchy as this one. Just up to your preference, but I don't reach for this ever. And I barely reach for this one. So then I have 3 shades that I'm using. And I get pretty much the same look every time I reach into this palette. So I do love it. I do love the look that I get from it. But it's not as versatile as the other palettes that I'm going to be talking about. I hope this doesn't ruffle any feathers, y'all. Because you know what I'm about to rank above those 2 Natasha Denona palettes? LA Girl. LA Girl.
What? Who? You did what? With who? Where?
Like, I don't know who expected this, but it sure as hell wasn't me. Number 8, the Hey Hey Vacay palette from LA Girl. This is the Good Times and Tan Lines one. They have a different one in green packaging, and it has a different color story. LA Girl has impressed me so much with their products. I haven't tried a single thing from them that I did not like. First of all, this palette comes with a giant mirror, and it's a nice mirror, and it feels kind of weighted. It's not cheap feeling. I mean, the plastic is cheaper, but you get a huge mirror in it, and that rarely ever happens with palettes of this price range. I think it's around $17, but you get so many shadows in here. Someone said this was kind of similar to the Zendo palette. These shades are more bright and not as grungy as the blues in the Zendo palette, but I could definitely see the resemblance because you definitely have those warm tone neutrals and then your kind of bluish green and then your neutral browns. I can see the resemblance here, but the LA Girl formula is amazing. So of course there are shimmer formulas that I like more than others. I tend to gravitate towards these kind of formulas, which are these super foiled ones, but I do still like the metallics in here. And I just dug my finger into one of them. The mattes are so blendable and easy to use, easy to build, easy to blend. They're very beginner friendly. So if you're going to try to branch out and you don't want to spend a lot of money on a palette, LA Girl has some colorful options, they have some neutral options, and it's not Colourpop. Because I feel like everyone talks about Colourpop, but no one's talking about LA Girl. I don't understand why. Everyone talks about the LA Girl liners. They're good, I'll give you that, but I like their shadows better. I mean, okay, come on. Come on. Let's do another one. These look high-end. This blue. Come on. I'll wait. I'll insert more swatches so you can see up close. These are so good for the price. And I am taking that into account, okay? Because yes, the Natasha Denona palettes are expensive. So that means that I should be that much more in love with them. You know, I am taking that into account in this ranking video. Because this is a cheaper palette, I mean, come on. You get so many shades in here. You get light pinks, you get some peach and corals, you get the blues, you get the neutral row. You can use this every day. I mean, you just have so many options in here. And the formulas are really, really good. So, that's that. Number 7 and number 8 are from Colourpop. I recently reviewed these. I will also link that video up in the cards if you are interested in watching these in action. I have Cream Soda, which is this lighter one, and then Sparkler, which is the darker version. And I'm gonna rank Sparkler a little bit lower. I'm gonna say this is number 7 and this is number 6 because I reach into this lighter one more often. I have it on today. I think it's just really easy and on the go. And I really like it. The mattes are super blendable, love the formula, but they're very powdery, so keep that in mind. And the shimmers are really good. I do love them. But I will say that there is a little bit of fallout with the sparkly shade, so use a glitter primer. Even though these don't have as much variety as the LA Girl Vacay palette, I think these are easier for on the go. They're smaller, more compact, and together they make the perfect neutral palette. but separately I can still get really good looks out of them. And I do love this new like super glittery formula that Colourpop has. I'm a big fan of that. So these I just pack in my to-go bag much more often than my other palettes, so that's why they're here, and I do enjoy all the shades in these. But I do use this one more, so that's why this is number 6 and this one is number 7. It's hard for a newbie to jump in here, okay? It's hard, but this one has earned her spot. Number 5 is from Dominique Cosmetics, and this is the Transitions palette. I actually just received this in my BoxyCharm Premium box, and you haven't seen it yet because I haven't done a video, and I probably won't. I'll talk about why. We'll see. We'll see if I get to that, okay? That's for another video, but this is amazing. I love this palette. I really do. I'm going to show you the inside. This is an all matte palette, and it has a beautiful mirror. It feels very luxurious. It has every matte that you could possibly want for neutral looks. You have your pinks, you have your grays, you have your matte black, your cream colored, bone colored shadow. You have a mustardy shade, which I think is a really nice pop in here. And then you have your warm toned browns, your neutral, and your cool. You just have a bunch of different options in here. And I think you could do a lot of different looks with this. And then what I also like about this palette is I can use this and then I can pair it with some of my single shadows. So when it's an all matte palette like this, I have an easier time reaching into my singles and my glitters and stuff like that. So I think this is a perfect companion palette to everything like that. And if I have a shadow, if I have something like, let's say the Nabla palette or the Natasha Denona ones that I don't really want to use those mattes that come with the palette, I can use this and then jump into the shimmer shades that I love so much. So I really love how versatile this is. I think her formula is really great. It works just as well as a lot of my shadows that I love. So I think it blends out beautifully. I think it's pigmented enough. Like, it's not overly pigmented when you add it, but it's buildable and it blends out beautifully and they blend together beautifully. And I think the tones of these shades are also really, really gorgeous. This was one that actually came out this year, and I kind of forgot that it came out this year because so much has happened. But yeah, this was a newer release, new-ish. It was months ago, but this was 2021. Crazy. Oh, also, the Hey Hey Vacay palette was also newer. That one came out a few months ago as well. It's 2021. The Chipotle one was 2021. The Mini Love palette was 2021. The Hot Ombre one was also 2021. Who just thinks the time flies and you just are like, when did that come out? Was that last year? I don't know. But yeah. So those, and then the Colourpop ones also came out this year. And I have one more to talk about that came out this year. And then all the rest were ones that I just tried this year. So yeah, sorry if that's a little confusing. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, so the Dominique Cosmetics Transitions palette is number 5. So the fact that this palette is up where it is at number 4 is actually astounding. If you would have told me this a year ago, a few months ago, I probably wouldn't have believed you. This palette is $10 and it's number 4. And that is from LA Girl. And this is the Keep It Playful palette, and this is the Playmate version. So they have a bunch of different ones. I will pop up on the screen. I think they have 4 available currently, but this is the pinkier toned one, and it has a magnetic closure. It's plastic packaging, but it does have magnetic closure. You can see how much I've used all of these shades and the mattes and everything, and I've just dipped in, and I recently got this. I got this maybe not even a month ago, and it already looks like this. I am in love with this palette. I want to scream it from the rooftops. I want every single one of these. They have a purple one, they have a cooler tone neutral one, and then they have a warm brown kind of toned one. I want all of these. This is what got me into LA Girl. This was the first product that I tried that wasn't their eyeliner, and I'm hooked. I really am. So I showed you the shades that were from the Hey Hey Vacay, which same kind of formula, right? The eyeshadow formula is the same, but I personally think that this is my color story. This I am reaching for every day. I can go from day to night. I can go from soft glam to dramatic with deepening it up with this brown shade. The shimmers in here are incredible. And I use every single shade in this palette. There's not a single shade in here that I have not used, which is saying something. I love when a whole palette can be used for what you want. and you love the formula of every single shade in the palette. That is just like goals. And it was $10. Let me just show you. Look at the tone of this. It's like a champagne gold. It is packed with glitter and is super foiled and high shine. It's absolutely incredible. I know I'm swatching it on my knuckle and that's probably not doing it justice, but I mean, look at that. That's incredible. It looks just like, what is it? This one from Natasha Denona. It just has a little bit, see look, it has a little bit of a deeper flip to it, but effect wise, it's almost the same as Natasha Denona. And it's $10. Can you compete with that? I mean, like I said, with the Hey Hey Vacay, these matte formulas are buildable, they're blendable, pigmented, they're beautiful. But the shimmers, wow. But I love when I like the shimmers and the matte formulas from a palette. That's just best of both worlds. And look at this topper shade. It's like a duochrome kind of blue. I just can't believe that this is a $10 palette. And I absolutely 100% need all 4 of these palettes. This 9-pan is my favorite palette style from LA Girl so far, and I believe I'm gonna need all of them. So keep a lookout for these palettes in future rankings, because LA Girl is coming for you. I've had 2 and they've been in the top 10, so I can't wait to see what LA Girl does next. I love that they're an affordable brand, and I love that they're bringing high quality products at an affordable price. I mean, what more could you want? This looks like a Huda beauty palette. It looks like an expensive palette. It's just gorgeous. It actually is pretty comparable to some of the Huda beauty palettes. I think this formula is actually better. Before I get into the top 3 palettes of my trying in 2021, I will say one palette I tried was a new release in 2021. The other 2 I just recently tried in 2021, but they're older palettes. Like maybe last year. One of them was released last year, and then one of them was probably before last year. I don't know. But I did want to give an honorable mention. The reason that I did not want to rank these in with these palettes, even though I did try them in 2021, is because I picked the colors. I picked the color scheme. It's not fair. It's not fair of me to compare something that I picked colors that I love and I knew that I would love, and say like, ooh, this cohesive color story is for me, right? Now I can review the formula, but as far as it being a palette, it's not truly a palette, even though I keep it in a palette. So these are my single shadows, okay? So I have my single shadows from Denona Cosmetics, as well as my singles from Give Me Glow Cosmetics, and both of these are incredible. The formulas of both are absolutely stunning. The mattes of the Gimme Glow, incredible. Super blendable, super pigmented. I don't have a thing bad to say. The metallic formulas are really, really good, but the standout formulas are those intensely foiled ones. Like, they're a little bit more expensive on the site than the metallic shades, but I have 3 of them right here. So I have the Roses Remix, Electric Unicorn, and Glamorous. And these are so intense. I think I want to do a dedicated video on my single shadows, so I'm not going to swatch them right now, but I did want to mention that I did try these in 2021, but I did want to mention why I'm not actually putting them in the ranking video. I also have these from Give Me Glow Cosmetics. So the big circular pans are Give Me Glow, and the other ones are Denona. These are the 10 Denona shadows that were in Angelica's bundle, and I decided to get those because I love her. And I wanted to be her. No, I'm just kidding. I just really loved this bundle and I wanted to support Angelica. So that's that. But Denona shadows are absolutely gorgeous. They're multi-chromes, duochromes. They have a bunch. This one right here is a multi-chrome. Stunning. I've never seen anything like it. It really performs so beautifully. And I have a few duochromes. I have a bunch of different finishes in there. And then these from Give Me Glow, my boyfriend actually got me as a present for my birthday. He picked out these shades, and I am eternally grateful for that because I love that he picked these out himself, and every time I wear it, I remember that. That's why I did not want to include these in my ranking video because it just wouldn't be fair. I mean, I'm a little biased when it comes to this color story, and I picked out these colors. So they're from an indie brand. They're also just absolutely incredible. So just know if I were to rank these, they would be probably top 3, which is why I'm including them here. I'm not even sure where I would rank these, honestly. Those are from Give Me Glow and Cliona. So let's move on to the top 3 palettes that I tried in 2021. Number 3, Natasha Denona. This is the all neutral palette. This is the Biba palette, and it is really gorgeous. I mean, come on. This is a perfect neutral palette. I love the mattes. I love the shades that are included in here. I think you have a good neutral, cool kind of color scheme going here with a little bit of warmth coming from these shades. And you do have a few like metallic-y kind of shades. The one thing that would put this palette above number 3 is if the shimmers were glittery. If the shimmers had glitter in them. Now, this one shade, Monroe, has a very subtle glitter in it, which is beautiful if you don't want high impact glitter. It's beautiful, and I feel like for people who don't want that high impact glitter, you're gonna absolutely probably put this at the top of the list. But for me, I just need that glitter. So Shine, which is this one right here, and then Monroe, they do have some pretty shine to them. They're just on the subtle side, and they're more metallic. It doesn't make them any less beautiful, but it's just not what I prefer. I love this black right here. It's kind of satin, but it makes it so blendable, and I actually use that as an eyeliner, and it lasts all day. So I really do love that. I love the neutrals in here. I do reach into this very, very often. I think obviously I love the Natasha Denona formula, so being able to use the whole palette, I love, but it's a high price tag. I'm not gonna lie, this is a very expensive palette. And the fact that others come close to it is kind of strange. But I still do love this palette, I really do. If there was some glittery shades in here, this would be number 1, but sadly it does not. So it's number 3. But I still really, 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 really love this palette. Between number 2 and number 1, I still don't know if I'm making the right decision. Number 2 is the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. If I could rank these the same, if I could rank number 2 and number 1 the same, I would. But number 2 is the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. I love the shimmers. They're super high glitter, high impact, so I know Natasha Denona can do it. This is her really good high impact glitter formula, and this is what I love about Natasha Denona. So there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mattes, and the rest are shimmers. There's not much that I could do to this palette to make it more perfect. I will say I wish that maybe there was one shade lighter than this, just because these 3 mattes are kind of similar. Like these 2 here are not too far off, and these 2 are very similar tone. So I know one's more yellow, but I would just change one of the mattes. I think I would take maybe Rhodium, which is the different shade in there. That's beautiful, but I never use. I feel like I would change that to another matte shade, and this palette would be slammin'. I absolutely am in love with all of these glittery formulas. I don't really use this shimmer shade right here because it's too dark for me. I prefer a lighter shimmer, but it's still beautiful. I use all of the mattes. I use almost all of the shimmers, and I love the formula. This is an everyday palette, and when I use this, my eyes are popping. I don't know what it is about these shades. The tone of this just makes my green eyes pop. And I'm gonna try to insert swatches so you can see exactly how glittery and beautiful these shades are. And I'll try to pop a picture of me wearing this palette if I have one, because I don't know why, but my eyes just pop when I'm wearing this. And I love it so, so much. This was one of their midi palettes. It's a $65 one, and I got this on sale, but I would pay $65 for this again, I think. It's just really, really wonderful. But that being said, there was one palette that came in and topped it all. It's kind of funny because I just watched Samantha's March's video. She ranked her palettes as well from 2021. I can't remember what she ranked this, but I'm pretty sure it was either number 1 or number 2. So I'm not trying to copy her, but I'm just saying, okay, I don't know Angelica, but I love her. I've never been in contact with Angelica other than maybe like I've commented on her Instagram and she's maybe said thank you. That's pretty much it. But I'm gonna say, number 1 is the Club Nebula palette from Kaleidos. This collaboration was made in the heavens. I love this palette so much. The packaging is gorgeous. It's so unique. I think the reason that this was above the Natasha Denona palette is because the Natasha Denona palette, I don't want to say basic as a bad thing, but it's very everyday, bronzy, warm tone neutrals. Okay, we get it, right? The reason that this is number 1 is because of the variety of looks you can get. The creativity that this palette gives you is just amazing. I mean, I can reach into this palette and make a different look every single time. There are certain looks that I gravitate towards, but here's the color story. And when you look at it at first glance, you're like, how in the world would you use this all the time? Well, this shade here is leaning neutral. If you want to do cool tone to neutral, you go with this one, and you can deepen it up with this shade right here, and you can put this light purple on top. It's like a pinky purple. So that's kind of, you can stay a little neutral. I also did a workplace lay with this palette, and I was able to get some amazing looks. So I'll put that one in the cards as well. But if you want to go warm tone neutrals, you have this peachy row down here, and you can deepen it up with this shade here. Now, Angelica, she is someone who loves drama. She loves some dynamic looks that you can really have high contrast with, so you're deepening up a look with a dark matte shade. And that is my style too, and that is why I think that this palette is just so me, because I could do a monochromatic green, or I could deepen it up with that forest green shade. I could do a monochromatic blue with that shimmer, or I could deepen it up and have some drama with that dark blue shade. I can mix and match all of the shades. There's just endless options with this palette. Neutral, colorful, and I just feel like it brings out my creativity. Every time I use this palette, I'm happy with the look. Plus, Kaleidos, their matte formula is amazing. Probably one of my favorite matte formulas of all time. I think it's very comparable to Natasha Denona. It's just a little bit more immediately pigmented. Natasha Denona is a tad more buildable, and this one is like right off the bat, it's pigmented, so be careful. But it's also, it blends out effortlessly, so it's not a bad thing. It's just, they're just different. But they're very similar in the fact of their high quality shadows that blend really beautifully and work so well. And the shimmers in here are unfreaking real, okay? Kaleidos has some amazing shimmer shades. So here's this kind of duochrome. It's like a pink orange shift. It's gorgeous, and that's more of a topper shade. And then you have this one here, which is Nova, which is this bright pink to blue. In the pan, the way I see it, it's pink, but the way you see it in the camera is like a bluish tint. It's absolutely incredible. It has this pinky bluish white shift that is it's just unique. And then you have this one, which is my favorite, which is Astro. This blue on the lid is just absolutely incredible. Not very many formulas compare to Kaleidos and their shimmer formula. Celestial is beautiful. I mean, every single shimmer in here I've gotten use out of and I love. And all the mattes I've gotten use out of and I love. So I think that's what makes a #1 palette, is there's nothing that I would change about this palette at all. From the packaging to the color story to the formula, I love everything about this. Not a single thing I would need to change. And it's a collaboration with a YouTuber, and a YouTuber that I love. I love to support and I love to watch, and that just makes me so happy. And Kaleidos is one of my favorite brands. I have almost every palette from them. I was not able to get the Flower Punk collection. I have everything else from them except for their one discontinued palette, which is the Deep Sea Luster something palette, and that one I don't have as well. I would love to have it, but it's discontinued, so I can't get it. And I think the Flower Punk's out of stock. But I have every single other palette from Kaleidos because I love their formula so much. And when I knew that when I found out that they were collaborating with Angelica, it was just a match made in heaven. And I'm so glad that I get to support another YouTuber. And congratulations, Angelica, for coming up with this beauty. Sometimes I forget that this was in 2021 and it's insane, but I still get so much use out of this. Even months later, I still reach into this. I actually keep this on my shelf as a display because it's beautiful. It is art. And not very many palettes can do that. So that was my palette ranking video. I hope you enjoyed this style of video. I don't know why I have 15 of everything that I want to rank. That's just really weird. My highlighter video that I did, I had 15 highlighters. How does that happen? I don't know. But thank you so much for watching. If you like this style of video, please do let me know. Let me know what category you would like next. I can do drugstore, I can do luxury, I can do all. Just let me know what you'd be interested in seeing of a different category. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you're having an amazing day or night wherever you are. Please hit that like button and please subscribe if you want to join my family and see more content from me. I am trying my hardest here to get some awesome content for y'all. So please do let me know in the comments, what was your favorite palette of 2021? What is your highest ranked palette, your favorite palette, your go-to ride or die palette that you have tried in the year 2021? I would love to know. Maybe you have one that I haven't even tried, and maybe that'll become my new favorite palette of 2021, because I will be doing another ranking at the end of 2021 to see if anything's changed. We're halfway through the year. Why not do like a mid-year check-in, you know? It's time for that, right? So that is all I have for you today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.